Actually, we had talked about this before when we first stopped in. This idea of how you assisted with figuring out state regulations for tattoo.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that, how it arose, kind of when those regulations took place?
Well, Jeff and I even talked about the city when it was only city ordinance as far as what they needed to cover and to have something stronger. And it was a lot of push and shove and trying to make things safer for people because Jeff worked in the biomed field with the government. He was in the military for over 26 years. So he carried that over. And we tried the best we could. And even when we'd see things falling apart in different areas, we tried to get the city to go after things, but it always kind of fell off. And then when the state decided to take over regulation, they actually sent their attorney to Jeff's Tattoo, and they sat down and spoke with us, and they ended up being there for hours because we had such a huge list of things we wanted them to cover. They tried. They did have at that time, I think, about 13 people in that corner, you should say, that were going to help, and then with cutbacks, I think we went down to about 6 or 7 people, and they just
now
don't
there's
have,
like 3.
yeah, and they just don't have enough people to go around to take care of what they need to, and it's sad because, I mean, it was one thing when there was one shop in town, or maybe 2, but when there's 5, and how many in the state, plus them to keep track of how many people that are still doing it at home, or
Yeah, we told them that to begin with.
oh, that's a huge thing, and taking things out of the back of their car, things are overheated, they're frozen, nothing, dates are checked, the safety is just not there. No one's licensed to do that at a party or out of a van or a bus or a trailer. And we'll even call that in when we know stuff is going on.
But
They don't do anything about it. So,
not that we know of, let's put it that way.
yeah, and we're just trying to protect people, keep
What-
them getting sick.
What kinds of specific regulations do you have to follow at this point if you're doing what the law says?
Well, I mean, the shop has to be licensed.
Okay.
The artist has to be licensed. The artist has to have, the shop has to have certain criteria. The artist has to at least have done 200 hours worth of apprenticeship. And then they have to follow certain regulations and rules and.
Bloodborne pathogens
Yeah.
has to be done every year.
Which is kind of like not the, I don't say not the biggest thing, but to me it's like, because bloodborne pathogens has to be done every year,
Yes.
but it doesn't change every year.
No.
It's the same over and over. So even like CPR, you can get CPR certified, but it lasts what, 3 years? Where bloodborne pathogens is every year. So it's just like one of those things where all you're doing is the same thing over and over and over.
We liked it better when the Red Cross used to come to our shop and then we'd have hours of class there. To me, that had more impact on what was being
Yeah, now
done.
we just do it over the
Now you
computer.
do it online, and
You just
to
take
me,
a test.
you could have anybody sit down and decide, you got some time, will you take care of this for me, and then print your document and turn it into the state with your license. And to me, that just lost it right there. I don't think that was fair. When they did that, I thought they were being lazy again. For whose part, I don't know, not ours. I thought it meant more to have them be on site, so they could see and just say.
And now you
well,
can't do on
no.
site. You have to find certain classes that are around the state.
Yes.
And or do it on.
Online, and still the ones online aren't all recognized by the state of Minnesota. It'll tell you which states are recognized on the different classes, so.
But yeah, so bloodborne pathogens, but then, but again, it doesn't regulate anything about your ability to tattoo, just that you fill in certain criteria and then, but then again, if something happens, then that's where the state comes down on.
Then the heat comes in.
Ah, okay.
And it was by osmosis or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, we don't come, but you need to know, and this is what you said, and.
Yeah.
But, there's always those, right now too, I get it all the time, we're like, oh, so-and-so is doing it, he'll just come to your house. But he's not, but he shouldn't do that. Well, but he's licensed. No, he's not. Because again, if he was licensed, he would be doing it in the shop. If he was licensed and he was any good, he'd be doing it in the shop. And or, if he is licensed, he wouldn't be doing it for the sake of, if he got caught, he would lose his license.
It's not worth it.
So
Then
it's
you
not
don't
worth
get
it.
back.
Yeah, you don't get it back.
Okay. So within the shop itself, I suppose there are certain regulations for how you handle the needles and that kind
Oh,
of
correct,
thing?
yeah.
Okay.
And most of that is just commonsensical type stuff. But there's all the other stuff that goes with it, the cross-contamination,
That's huge.
which is what bloodborne pathogens is about. But again, like any nurse or any whatever, or anyone who's in the medical field or in that type of a biohazard type of a field, once you do certain things, it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction or a reflex. Everything you do is exactly the same.
But we see fault in many areas, whether we've gone to urgent care or we're at the dentist or whatever. Everybody thinks that those places are flawless on how they do things, and in no way are they.
And sometimes they're even worse.
Yes.
Because even with when people give plasma,
Yes.
like a lot of times they don't have to wear gloves, but yet they're putting a needle in your arm and going to the next person, the next person, the next person without wearing gloves. To me, I don't understand that at all. To me, that's like
Or they have the same pair of gloves on for each person.
Yeah.
I
To
don't
me,
want
that's
you to touch me if you're
cross
gonna do that.
contamination 101. Is you just take the glove off.
There of all places.
Even here, if I am working on someone and I need to go to like the kitchen or something, if I need some, I'll take my gloves off and go and then come back in. You don't keep your gloves on and go into different rooms because you're cross contaminating different areas.
Or to answer the phone, you grab it with a tissue, or you take off your gloves.
Yeah.
If you need to refill your ink caps, you have tissues in both hands. You're not just touching that bare bottle. No.
But I mean, but again, once you do it for so long, it just becomes second nature.
Right.
And a sterilizer isn't a necessity if you have everything that's disposable. I mean, we have things that are reusable, so we've always had sterilizer. And you have to keep logs for the state on those things too, and you have to do tests. You have to do spore testing on the sterilizers. So
Every month.
yeah.